What's up? It's the PHNX Suns Podcast, and you know what? We're talking G League, so I thought it was only appropriate that Greg hosted and Gerald sat on the other end. These two guys are here too. So
See, if you were clever enough, you would have said the OGs are here as well.
Oh,
that's cool.
Nah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good, thanks. How are you guys? Busy day, lots to talk about, but I care about you guys. How are you?
He's still mad.
Flex, how are you? I don't care how solid is what we're saying.
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Blessed.
Good. Well, we got a little news. We had a press conference that came up yesterday. We talked a little bit about what was going to go on, but we had the pleasure of going out to Mullet Arena today out on ASU's campus for the big unveiling of the new G League team for the Phoenix Suns. It had been about 3 years since the former disgraced owner sold the NAZ Suns to Detroit. Josh Bartlestein happened to be a part of that group that purchased it. But the G League is back. The Suns become the final NBA team to get a G League squad. And without further ado, let's show you the name. We've got the logo. Here it is. Oh, we don't have the logo, apparently. Our producer, it actually is in there. It actually is in there. The Valley Suns is the name of the new G League team. So, surprise, surprise, they did not go with anything new or unique for the name. Let's start there. And that's exactly the reaction I expected. Flex, what were your thoughts?
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I think it's a little simplistic, but I'm cool. Valley Suns. Looks dope. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the name, I asked Josh Bartlestein in the huddle after the presser about it, and he actually said Valley Suns was probably the leader in the clubhouse in terms of the voting. So
really,
we got some people that aren't overly creative in the Valley.
Listen. I respect Josh Bartlestein. I don't know if I really believe that though. Come on.
Well, okay, I'm going to guess.
It didn't even cross my mind to rename the team the Suns.
If you look across the G League, there are a lot of the Clippers, the Celtics. There's a lot that are just the name of the team, and it doesn't surprise me. My guess, and Gerald, I love your thoughts on this, but my guess is some of the names were copyright issues. Like I had thrown out Shazam. DC was never going to allow something like that. My guess is there were a lot of those kind of issues that came up with names, and they wound up in this ballpark.
It's possible for sure. I mean, I think in the press release it said there were about 1,200 fan submissions for this contest that they did, and they said that dozens submitted Valley Suns, and that was kind of the leader of the pack. Just numbers wise, that's hard to believe. How many dozen are we talking about? But
apparently nobody else had a consensus whatsoever.
I mean, I guess that could be true, because if you think about it, every fan is going to submit some different artwork or something to, I don't know. But you're right. Like, I feel like there might have been some barriers in terms of what you can name it. I like the logo. The logo is cool. I'm not crazy about the Suns part of it. I do like that they incorporated Valley into it. But yeah, I was kind of hoping for something a little more creative or off center with the team name, but it's not terrible either. Like it's fine.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I just think that you have such an opportunity when you have these types of things that happen. We've seen like this you have this fascination with minor league baseball teams and the creativity behind those names and the logos and the mascots. Like it's a great opportunity to do something like that and have something like that's creative, a little bit outside the norm, something that really appeals to the masses, something that grabs your attention. Like, hell, like, book Sunwalker even in the chat is saying Valley of the Phoenix or something like that. Like even Phoenix as the bird
I was gonna say
would have been
that,
kind of
yeah.
cool. You know what I mean? Like
Phoenix,
there's just a lot of things that they could have done, but they kept it basic. They kept it within their same color scheme. They kept it pretty vanilla. Because they said that the branding of Suns is what carries forward. But if that was true, then they would have named the WNBA team the Suns too. Like I don't know. I'm a little all over the place with that.
It is what it is. I get it from the power of a brand, Suns, but there's also the confusion of a brand. But the Valley part of it, I love. Right? If you would name this Tempe Suns, I think we're all out completely, right? But and that's not a slight on Tempe. I just think it just feels like a complete just afterthought. But Valley Suns, I like, and I'm just going to refer to the team as the Valley, I think, in a lot of ways on this, because I just love that moniker more than the Suns moniker. Do we have the logo now as well? I want to take a look at this. For me, I actually really love the logo here, in part because it harkens back to the old Suns burst of the 70s and 80s, and it had a similar Suns font where Suns was the same upside down or right side up. So I like the little touches of that. The burst in the middle is a nice touch. I think there's some good branding here. And the name, I think, eventually will grow.
I'm warming up to it. I think you're right. The Valley Suns does give it a little bit more pop. Like you said, if it would have been a 10-piece Suns or whatever. But yeah, the Valley thing is it's pretty cool. So I do like the Valley portion of
To
it.
your point, Saul, though, with the minor league stuff, what I do like is the G League lets you do some variations from time to time for theme nights.
Okay.
Like, as bad as this was, the NAZ Suns, the old iteration of the G League, did a rodeo. They were the NAZ rodeo clowns.
Right.
Which is
remember that.
terrible, but their uniforms looked like rodeo clowns. And any player that agreed to this is still, it boggles my mind that they said they'd wear these things, but that was kind of fun. I think there'll be some opportunities for things like that. By the way, if you have one of those NAZ rodeo clown uniforms, let me know. I'll buy it off you. But yeah, I think there'd be some opportunity for those kind of things.
I hope so. Again, like there's just such a huge marketing opportunity when you have something like this. The things that they were saying about why the G League is important to the franchise, not only in the obvious in terms of player development, but also, Josh pointed out that this is going to be, and so did Sharif Abdur-Rahim, that this is going to be a place where, fans, kids can actually get closer to the players and interact with them a lot more than they normally could at an NBA game, which I think is a tremendous opportunity to really share your brand and do something that's a little bit more unique. Now, they did say they were going to do that in various other aspects, which I know we'll get to in a second, but I just felt like, man, it would have been so cool. Like, listen, there's just some cool shit that kids are into that if you came up with a really cool design and color scheme, whatever, I know it's not going to fit your brand, to a T, but there's some creativity that could have been had there. And I just, I feel like they kind of missed the boat.
Valley Boys, I thought would have been dope.
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre owns that. Owns that trademark. So.
Really?
Actually, I'm pretty sure he does.
I saw someone else say like the Valley Rising. Doesn't that?
Yeah, you can't do that with the soccer team,
right?
See, that's the thing. There's so many legal hoops you have to jump through to get a name
But if you
approved.
kept it solar, maybe it was the moons, or it was, we have the Mercury.
Don't
we
take my solar flares.
The solar flares.
We offered it, and we offered you. They said,
get that check, yo.
So again, there's just some opportunities there that I felt like, listen, it's not a horrible name. It's not a terrible thing. But, I do look at the logo and I do think immediately, fire department or emergency services. That was something that was.
Let's pull up the logo again, because this is from the press release. So I just wanted to
slap it right in the center of us there.
Yeah, right. This is the Espo and Gerald show.
Yeah, I just wanted to read this because this is from the press release. They kind of explain what they were thinking. So they said it features flickering V and S flames, Valley Suns coming together to create a spherical sun-shaped icon. The triangles in the logo portray the rising peaks that surround the Valley of the Sun and symbolize elevation and ascending to reach the top. obviously the team's orange and purple colors inspired by the Suns and Mercury, kind of aligning the Valley basketball franchises. So I kind of agree. It does look a little bit like a fire department logo, but I like the basketball in the middle of it. And like you said, I like the kind of reference to the original Sunburst back in the day too.
We should use that meme, call the fire department, but not for me.
There you go.
All those G League games.
I'm warming up to the logo. When I first saw it initially, I thought it was a little plain. I'm like, but once you explain some of the stuff, I can see myself rocking some dope Valley Sun shorts.
Why do I not believe you?
No, I'm serious, dog.
Dude's got every variation of shorts.
Bro,
Sometimes with Flex Talks, man, I'm like,
what?
like, am I believing? Can I believe you right now? I feel like when we shut off the camera, you might be like, bro, no, there ain't no way.
No, when Espo first showed me it, I was like, ugh. But now that I'm warming up to it.
I know you have no other choice.
Yeah, I guess.
Let me make it clear.
Back to the wall.
Flex.
I do like on some white shorts. Like, you see them? Yeah, if you put that on some white shorts with that
nice.
little sunburst on the thing, I can rock it.
Let's say it. If it's free, Flex will wear it.
Oh yeah,
so I all the merch you want.
Yeah,
Flex will.
I don't argue with free. Like free. These are free.
Look, I think this is a interesting take on this, and I think it may grow on us in terms of the logo and everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping to talk to some people over at the team to understand more of the design, do a whole thing on how they came up with it. But there's a lot more to this than just a name and everything. There's also the location, and they strategically selected Mullet Arena on the ASU campus, and we know that is where the what's the term, deactivated NHL franchise, the Arizona Coyotes, called home, as well as ASU hockey. But I think it's going to be an interesting building for the G League. 4,500 is usually a nice number. Like, if you hit that, you're doing real well as a G League team. It's a beautiful venue. I like that they chose there.
I do like that. I like the arena. If you've been in there for a game for ASU or Coyotes, you know that it can get loud in there. It's a great environment. I think it's perfect for something like the G League. Hell, I think it's perfect for somebody like ASU, to be honest with you, because their arena right now is just butt. So, like, to have something like that would be cool. And for this team to go in there, the facilities, they work in partnership with the Oakview Group, who does a lot of partnerships with these franchises and really helps them, facilitate the arena in terms of staffing and partnerships and stuff like that. It's a great opportunity for the Suns to kind of get out and get into a different realm of their business and get a little bit creative. And they mentioned that multiple times today. They talked about the ability to do different fan giveaways or fan engagement things, different types of ticketing packages or VIP experiences. They talked about concessions and all this other stuff. Like, they want to use this, and I do agree with this wholeheartedly. I think this is a great perspective. They want to use this as a petri dish, so to speak, of things that they can test and see how the fans respond to them, so they can translate it over to the NBA teams and the WNBA teams and really give the fans exactly what they want, which is purely in the DNA of what Matt Ishbia has said he's wanted to do. He wants this to make it the epitome of a fan experience.
A petri dish?
Yeah. Where you grow, I like that. What do you think of a Valley Suns glizzy gun? I haven't seen it at a Suns game. What Flex would you go for?
Glizzy gun?
Yeah, where you shooting hot dogs into the stands.
Hey man, let's do it. I'm open to
give it a shot.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to that. I'm interested, man. I want to see that vibe and how. I've never been to the Mullet. You actually confused me. So ASU doesn't.
No, ASU plays at Desert Financial Arena.
Okay. So you think the Mullet would be better for that?
Listen, it's newer, it's more intimate. You're right there on top of the players, basically, is what you would feel like. And again, when you're looking at something, and this is kind of diverting a little bit, but when you're talking about ASU and their lack of success in basketball, you need to have a differentiator that is going to set you apart from everybody else, right?
That's fair.
And when you're playing in a conference like the Pac-12, which was kind of whatever, but now you're in the Big 12 with like 5 teams that are in the top 10. what is going to separate you to get you recruits in that building? And I think having a smaller, intimate arena that is loud and raucous and it's just a unique environment, I think that appeals to a lot of people. I don't give a shit about 10 or 15,000 fans. How are you going to make this crazy?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's exactly what the Suns are going to try to do with this as well. For a group of fans that are going to be able to get closer to the action than most of us can in terms of a Suns game. You're going to get to experience a very intimate location, but that's not the only reason why they chose Mullet. And CEO and president of the Suns and Mercury, and now I assume the Valley Suns, we didn't get clarification on that. Josh Bartelstein talked about that.
It was a really important thing to us, and we study it. If you look at the utilization rate of teams, when they're outside of 2 hours, they don't use it because it's just hard. It's 2 hours each way. It's looked like a chore for the players to get there. A lot of times it's not direct flights or long travel. So we want to use it. If you're going to have it, you might as well use it, and that's where being 15, 20 minutes away made a lot of sense for us.
So the proximity thing is huge because like before they were in Prescott, 2 hour drive away. And like he said, if you're 2-3 hours away, as they learned in Detroit, as we learned here, like you're not going to use that. You're not going to be able to send players up and down quickly. And he also mentioned multiple times, like if we have guys that are coming off injury or something and they need to get some run in just to get back on the court, the G League can afford them that opportunity as well. So it's not just for two-way contracts or, young guys if they actually happen to use a draft pick. Like it's for veteran players too that just need to get one game under their belt, test out an injury or whatever, and then get back into
Example would have been a guy like Damian Lee. Mm-hmm. If he was coming back and they need to test him out a little bit, go down there, play a couple games, get right. That's pretty cool. That was actually genius of them to get it closer because that 2 hour ride is crazy.
Well, I never understood that either. Like because it's not like it's straight up the highway. It was straight up the highway and then 35 miles another west again. Like it was very inconvenient, and it does make sense to have that. And I do wonder, we didn't get any confirmation on this or anything like that, but I know they're using Mullet right now. I do wonder if down the road they will build their own facility for the G League team, kind of like what they did in Detroit.
I think I could see where there might be something like that down the line, and where it could be part practice facility for the Suns, part arena for the G League, something like that, because I know the Suns have a newer facility, but it's not the most ideal thing from everything I've heard. It wasn't built necessarily the best way for it, and I know Ishbia wants first class, best in business for everything, but they did talk about and we don't have the audio on this, but Gerald, you did ask about where they're going to practice and those kind of things. And Josh Bartelstein did say that they're going to have one of the best facilities in the G League, and they're going to announce something in the future on that.
Yeah, so no details on the practice facility yet. And I do think the fact that, because the way that I phrased the question was, are they going to practice at the Suns practice facility or where? And he said, we'll have an announcement on that. So I can't imagine it'll be where the Suns practice, and logistically that would be complicated, I feel like, but it'll be interesting to see where they're practicing. And I think they're using it as a petri dish to test a lot of things, but Bartelstein said they're also using it as a way to recruit more talent. Even at the G League level, they believe that, like, look, if you can play home games at Mullet Arena, if you can be at this practice facility, if you can have the proximity to where Coach Bud is around, where James Jones and I are around, where, Kevin and Devin are going to see you, like, we think that's going to attract more talent. So even though the ROI on something like the G League isn't always as high, like where you're unearthing a star who's suddenly going to lead your franchise to championships, like, it is a valuable tool to fill out the end of the roster, to test certain things, to have that coherence between your regular team and your lower level team. So it's good that they have that again.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, it's probably not big enough or convenient enough, but I wouldn't be opposed to them having a setup where they were together. Yeah. Where you got the G League and the pro team around the same operation.
It's just complicated though, because they're both in training at the same time roughly. A lot of things are going on at the same time. You have multiple coaching staffs, multiple players, and individual work would be really complicated because you're limited in space. They don't have 8 full courts to play.
Yeah, and that spot, that spot is too small. But if you can find, if in an ideal world, if I would making this from scratch, and I can make something big enough to house both of them, I think it'd be great, because now you got like a minor league system that's truly a minor league system, and they,
Well, you want to speculate a little bit. Maybe there is plans for a new Suns facility, and they're inheriting the old Suns facility.
Maybe.
That would be the best facility in the G League.
Possible.
Who knows? There's all sorts of possibilities, and we'll find.
It's just again, I think this is a good thing for the Valley. As the Suns, and I know I've been a little hard on James Jones of late, but you can't afford to throw away opportunities to be able to see if somebody can develop into that next vital player for you, right?
Yeah.
I do look at a guy like Saban Lee, for instance. He's played well when he's gotten his opportunities, but I think he develops a little quicker and a little bit further down the road if he's able to play a little bit more consistently in the G League for your franchise, as opposed to just sitting on the end of the bench night after night after night. So that 30 games, or I think was it a 40 game threshold or 50 game threshold that two-way players get, like that changes the dynamic of that 50 games, because now they can play in the G League for a little bit to get more experience instead of just being active and then not playing a game.
Well, let's be honest. They were one-way guys for the last 3 years.
Pretty much.
The whole point of a two-way is to have somewhere to send them. And you could have loaned them to one of the other G League teams, but that doesn't benefit you because you're not playing the same system. You're not doing those things. And this will provide them that opportunity in a venue where if guys from the Suns are in town because they got a night off and they want to go out there and support those guys, that makes it more interesting. There's all sorts of things that'll make it interesting. We talked to Josh about how fans will be able to see it, though, and he did mention that they're figuring out streaming, which Suns Live might be an opportunity there, but they're also looking at over-the-air opportunities as well, like the Suns have. So you're going to be able to see Valley Suns games on television or streaming this year pretty easily.
In addition to that, again, we talk about the creativity of this franchise to try and change, really adapt to what fans and consumers really want from their teams. And I think you're going to see that a lot with this G League team in terms of what their digital offering might be in a variety of different ways. We've seen other G League teams dabble a little bit in having unique broadcasts and different people contribute to those broadcasts. I think you can see something like that down the road. Maybe it isn't going to be your typical, before it was John Bloom that was traveling up to Prescott to do that. And, so maybe it won't be as buttoned up as you normally would see. As long as it's good, that's all that matters. And that's today's day and age. You need to do something a little bit more unique, especially for something like the G League, which it's exciting today. But, talk to me when we get to about the 40th game of the NBA season, see if you really are paying that much attention to the G League. And a lot of people don't. So how are you going to differentiate yourself? I think these are the things that they're going to look at to try and examine and pull the most out of viewership and give the fans as much back as possible.
Eric, can I get the two shot here? Sorry that I'm going to put you in this, Saul, but Josh Bartelstein, I got to talk to you right here. You, me. Nobody else is watching or listening. Don't worry about that. Saul brings up a good point, and I think I've got the solution for you. There's 4 guys sitting right here who would be happy to come call a G League game. We promise we won't curse. We have the ability to not do that. We know how to not do that. We don't choose to do that here, but we can do it for a G League broadcast. We'll memorize the names on the team. The other team, we'll see what we can do. And I think we can have a grand old time, and we can bring our fans over there to the stream or in arena, and we'll have a raucous crowd for what may be a terrible broadcast. So why don't you call us? We'll send you an email, and we can make this happen.
Way to sell it, I suppose.
PHNX Suns takeover at the Mullet. There we go.
I'm with it,
PHNX
man.
Valley Suns,
I'm with
Gerald.
it.
That's right. No, that would be a lot of fun. But no, to your point though, like in all seriousness, this is an opportunity for fans, media, players, coaches to kind of be on the ground floor of something.
Yeah.
Because I think Sharif mentioned it, that 60% of the players in the league last year have some G League experience. There are 8 head coaches in the NBA that have G League experience. So this is an opportunity for fans to see, the players of tomorrow before they get big and are harder to access in that way. And I did confirm they wouldn't disclose exact terms, but it is a multi-year deal with Mullet. So they'll be there for a couple of years at least. And that's exciting because it is in the heart of Tempe. It's right next to ASU campus. So you could have a potential audience built in right there if you're a college kid that just wants to see some NBA level action, but not shell out tickets, money for tickets at a Suns game.
I know a way to make that the hottest ticket in town.
I mean, why not have Dad?
How's that?
A nice 20-second pick.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that'd be the hottest ticket in town.
I'm just gonna say it. Have Dad down at Footprint. Have Son down in Tempe.
Bro.
A Valley Sun, SON. We'll have Bronny as the star out at Mullet.
Valley Suns.
all jokes aside, I mean, I'm being serious. If the Suns were to entertain taking Bronny 22 and he's playing for that G League team, oh yeah, that place would be packed 4,500.
I wonder if we could find 5 guys to start that all were sons of former NBA players. Yeah,
you have to be a son of an NBA player to be on the team.
It'd be unbelievable. It'd be lit. You know what? Things are looking up. Things are looking bright for the Phoenix Suns when it comes to player development. But it's going to be bright out there this summer, and our friends over at Shady Rays got you covered. That's right. Look, when you sit here, you just get the transitions just come naturally, Lindsay. Shady Rays is unbelievable. I love them. They are the sunglasses I turn to. We go to Vegas every summer, and it's bright there, right? Not only the sun, but the lights out there are brighter in Vegas.
You should see when Isco takes off his shirt.
Oh, that is just a lot of reflective. It's one of a worst farmer tans you will see. And if you want to, protect your eyes when that happens, Shady Rays is unbelievable. Polarized sunglasses, but it's not just the quality at a reasonable, fantastic price. It's the fact that they guarantee these bad boys so well that if you lose them, you break them, they're replacing them. That's how good they are. They stand by their product that much that if you screw up, they still replace it because they want you as part of their family. They're an independent sunglass company, and they offer that world-class product. But catch this. It's not just us saying it. It's not just ad copy that's saying it. 300,000 people have rated these sunglasses 5 stars. So the people have spoken, and these are fantastic sunglasses. And we got a deal just for you, our viewers and listeners. Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. That's right, the best deal as we head into summer. Head to shadyrays.com and use that promo code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. You got to try them for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And you know what? We talked about Vegas. And what do they do in Vegas? Well,
gamble.
Exactly. And our friends over at BetMGM have the best sportsbook app. And guess what? If you're in Vegas, they got a fantastic sportsbook there too in MGM. So you can go out there, but we want you to try it before you head out there. Use the DraftKings or BetMGM Sportsbook app. Let's re-rack that. Hey, what are you doing in Vegas?
No. We're not resetting the clock.
No, look, you can use the BetMGM Sportsbook app. If you use that promo code PHNX, you are going to get 10. I'm totally thrown off. Lindsay! Anyways, let's get back to it. You download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android.
Just read the disclaimer.
Visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 in your BetMGM Sportsbook app. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. And if the bet does lose, your bonus bets are going to be available instantly right there. So sign up today. Use that promo code PHNX. Place your first bet through the mobile app of at least $10. You're receiving up to $1,500 in bonus bets. It's just that easy. Check show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Get stuffed, Espo, you moron.
You just got a preview of what it would look like if I read the ads. Right there.
You know what? Ontario gets the day off. I deserve it.
If somebody has 5 minutes to spare, I think they would like to see that.
No.
5 minutes.
That's about how long it would take, I think.
It would.
All right.
That's an all-star performance compared to what I put together.
Let's run away from that quickly. It's time to talk about if the F them kids mentality is the right mentality for this team. You got a G League team now. You're obviously investing in development, But if the mindset has been draft picks aren't the most important thing for you here, does that change for you?
It has to. It has to. I did think it was funny, and now this was not purposeful, obviously, so I say this in jest. But Josh Barlstein did shout to JJ, who you taking with the 22nd pick? Yeah. He was like, oh, it's not my turn right now, and he just kind of ran off.
And he did go, is he going to play here? So.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I was trying to leave that part out. But, I thought that was funny. But they do need to start to take this draft seriously. They need to take the draft period seriously. They need to start to acquire draft assets the way they gave them out like candy before. Like at some point, you're going to get too old to compete, and you have to, kind of restock everything with younger talent and give them a chance to thrive and be a part of your franchise. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly this old aging team until you draft your older players for assets that now, you've depreciated your own assets to get younger talent, and you're going to be limited in what you can get in return as these guys get older. So at some point, you got to hit in the draft, because the more you hit in the draft, the younger your team is, the more you can hold on to the guys like KD and Bradley Beal as they start to age and get a little weathered. KD reaches 38, 39, 40 years old. He's not going to be the same KD he is right now, and you need to replace some of that production somehow, some way. So why not give these young guys an opportunity to do that to a certain degree? Yeah,
no, they got to start taking this more serious. And we need some youth. We need some youth on this basketball team. We need some energy. And I mean, we talked the other day about some of the playoff teams like Dallas. Derek Lively, that's a 12th pick. Now, we don't have the 12th, we got 22, but there's some Derek Lively's in this draft that you can get at 22. Or close to. And so the idea that you drafting young guys and they're not going to be ready, I never bought into that. If you got this team is a veteran group. They got a lot of leadership on this group in regards to like tenure. I wouldn't say when I say leadership, I know people are going to look at me like, what are you talking about leadership? But y'all know what I mean. You added a young guy, Jaime Hosquez. I don't remember exactly what pick he was, but he wasn't far off from that range of 22. So you can find talent, and you can reset your books, and it's a good contract. And so, I'm leaning more towards drafting somebody at 22 and utilizing this G League team to develop them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends on what's available, but we're starting to dive into Trade Machine Tuesday, and we're already coming to the conclusion that the pickings are going to be slim in terms of what you're going to be able to attach that pick to and get back in return in terms of established players. So I think for them, like they've said it to us multiple times. James has, Matt has. Their approach is like you use draft picks to get good players. I think they would prefer if those players didn't have to take multiple years to develop, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're definitely going to trade that pick for just some 8th or 9th man on the roster. They could draft at 22, or they could trade up. Maybe they have options there with a second pick that becomes trade eligible. But yeah, I do think there needs to be a focus on whichever guys we're bringing in, whether we're trading the pick or using the pick. We've got to get a little bit younger. We've got to get a little bit more athletic. We've got to bring guys in on contracts that last beyond a year or two, so that we can have, some continuity with our roster moving forward. And I do think that is a point of emphasis for them, even though there's this misconception that they don't have any picks moving forward. They do have like 4 or 5 picks over the next 7 or 8 years it is.
And they have to take them because they can't trade them.
Right. A lot of them are pick swaps and that sort of thing. So, I think they have an opportunity here for sure to use this G League to build out in that way.
Again, if you take it seriously, you can find something in where the Suns are picking to flex this point. If you go back and you look at last year's draft, 18, Jaime Hosquez.
There you go.
19, Brandon Podziemski. Yeah. Okay, those two immediately right off the board, were 2 of the best rookies in the league last year. Cam Whitmore at 20, Derek Whitehead at 22, Chris Murray at 23. Like, those are solid players that would have been able to produce a little bit for the Suns this year if they were in that same position where they are now.
Couldn't agree more.
I think you got to know what the hell you're doing when you're scouting. And this year there are some projects There are some interesting prospects. One of them, obviously, Salem's saying, Zach Edey is a slow-footed kind of guy. You don't know if he really would fit with your system. But the way the Suns played last year, absolutely he'd fit with your system because they played slow as hell anyway. Mm-hmm. So, like, there's some guys that would fit what you're trying to do, but you got to know what your identity is. And last year, when you didn't know what your identity was, it didn't matter who you drafted. If you did have a draft pick, they wouldn't know what the hell they're supposed to be doing in this system anyway because there was no system.
That's right.
I wonder if we've misinterpreted that quote about draft picks.
How so?
Because they said that, they're there to get good players, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean it excludes the draft.
That's right.
If they feel the draft can get you that, they'll utilize it. I think everybody assumes that just means, we're still going to follow the same path we have over the last handful of years, but I'm not sure that's necessarily the thing. Now, maybe you get to around 22, like you were talking about yesterday, and there aren't guys that you want. Your board that you felt was value isn't there, and you deal the pick at that point, and that's understandable. But I think there is a world where that is viewed as an impact player, like you guys are saying, but I don't think that's the only reason you have the G League. I think there's other ways to find guys, right? There are guys that go undrafted that wind up having impact. And granted, it's few and far between, but you find guys.
There's guys that go undrafted. Yeah. There are guys that are overseas right now that have been balling their asses off, and they're looking for an opportunity to come back and play, but they don't want to come back and play in the G League and lose millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, listen, you go to the G League. I know it sounds great to play in the G League because you're affiliated with the NBA somehow and all this other good stuff, but you make more money overseas. Like, you just do. And so, like, there's some guys that are balling out over there that would love to get a chance to come back and potentially even play for a G League franchise because they know they're right there on the cusp. And maybe they're towards that point in their career where they're willing to take that leap because they've made enough money to feel financially stable for a short term. So now they want to take that risk as opposed to just coming straight out of college trying to figure it all out. Because you do take a pay cut at some universities. Like if you go from Arizona to the G League, you're taking a pay cut, man, because we pay a lot. So it's just how it goes.
I love that that's the world we're in now. Hey, now you can actually make the money legally in college. So you can make more than you made it as a pro.
That's the reason why you're going to see a lot more players stay in college and be a little bit older than before because they can make six-figure money in the NBA or in college than they could at the G League. So
I mean, G League guys are getting like $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year. Like, you make a hell of a lot more money staying in school nowadays. So, great point.
And shit, I mean, like, even if you look at like buyout candidates or like to your point, Saul, maybe nobody's going to want to hear this part, but the older guys that are trying to work their way back into the league, like an Isaiah Thomas, maybe you get them some more run and see what they could actually do at the NBA level again. Give them kind of like a tryout in that way. I don't want this, G League team to become a haven for veterans that are not signed to contracts, but you could use it as a way to work out some of these guys that are trying to work their way onto an NBA team. And maybe that gives you a little bit of a competitive advantage instead of having, here's what he did in practice, and that's kind of all we see of him.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it gives you a competitive advantage, too, when you're pursuing two-way guys, right? Where you may see a lot of potential in the guy, but you're not quite ready to commit. Well, now that guy goes, okay, well, I'm not just going to sit on the end of a bench like we were talking about. I can go down to the G League. You can get some run. Maybe you can have an impact at different times in the year. And I think the whole... Could that be, used to recruit some of those guys? Could have an impact. I get it. It's back into the roster stuff, but in the end, that can become very important. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Udonis Haslem was a guy that was undrafted, right? Wasn't he?
No, he was drafted.
He was a guy that he played in the G League at one point too, early in his career, I believe. Or am I confusing Haslam with some? I must be confusing Haslam.
Haslam went undrafted in the 2002 NBA
Thank
draft.
you.
But he didn't play in the G League.
No, he went undrafted. That was what I was thinking. And you look at it, and he went undrafted, but he winds up having a massive impact on that franchise for 2 decades as a culture guy and on the court. So there are cases where you can find those kind of guys, and you can help build around them, and completely washing your hands clean of that over the last 3-4 years, I think was a huge detriment to this franchise. And now you're at least in the game.
Well, and that's where, again, man, you think I'm obsessed with this kind of stuff because I'm obsessed with the process of everything. Like I want to know that like who's in charge is just they're checking every box They're unveiling every surface to try and find that one differentiator between what a team's going to pick at 21 and what you're going to pick at 22. Like because you have to. Where the Suns are right now, they have no luxury to just skip steps and just bypass things that they think are not important. Like, you have to take advantage of this. And if you don't trust your scouts, then damn it, you get your ass out there and start looking at games. Like, I don't know how many times James Jones goes on the road and watches a player play just because he wants to see them play in person. I don't know how many times that happens, but I know that if like I was in that seat, like if the Suns aren't playing, then I'm trying to check and see who do I need to go scout around the country because this person might be where we're going to be picking. So I want to go check that out. So I just think you gotta check all your boxes, man. You just have to do your homework. And going back to one more thing, $40,000 is the minimum in the G League, and that's if you're not on a two-way contract. Okay, if you're just straight G League, that's it. If you're part of an NBA franchise, that range could go from $80,000 to $500,000. Right. But that's really the range right there. Again, there's players in college right now that I know for sure. And I'm not saying it's U of A, but are making $600,000 a year in NIL alone. There's some guys that are making millions. Like, it's a pay cut.
Yeah, but those are guys that likely wouldn't wind up in the G League in most cases because
not necessarily. Not necessarily. There's some stars out there that are just valuable to a school because they know that they're going to put them close to a national championship as opposed to maybe a top-level prospect. Caleb Love, for instance. Okay?
Yeah.
I love Caleb, and I'm not saying Caleb's making this kind of money or anything like that, but Caleb Love would not be drafted in the first 2 rounds of the NBA draft, but he's going to be making 6 figures in NIL at schools.
Whatever, yeah. I mean, listen, I thought the Suns did a good job with Tamani Kamara as far as evaluating what they did last year. That was a hell of a pick. So that's something to build on.
And maybe you don't include him if you have a G League because you know he's going to be able to develop that.
Correct. You know, if you look at that Warriors team that won their last championship, you saw the development of Jordan Poole on that team. Jordan Poole was a G League guy that was out there in that Golden State system doing a lot of stuff in the G League before he got that deal and had that year with Golden State. Where he's at now, that's a whole different story. But there's reason to believe that this can work. And I believe in this draft. I don't like the draft at the top, but I do believe, and you'll see this in every draft. Don't take my word for it. Just go do the research. There's always a guy in that 20 to 30 range that you're going to look back and be like, damn, how did that guy? Now, this is where the Suns have to hit. They have to be able to find that guy. It's not that difficult. You got the 22nd pick. I value the hell out this pick. And to Gerald's point, I'm fascinated with the opportunity of potentially taking 22 and maybe something else and moving a little bit up into the draft, maybe around that 15, right at the edge of the lottery, because I think the best player in this draft is going to come out of the top after the top 10. I really do. This is just a weird draft. Suns have a chance to get a pretty damn good player. There's some guys out there. So
you just got to hit first. Bronny James, number 15 to the Phoenix Suns. According to look, there's a lot of opportunity. I think we all agree when it comes to young guys and using this as a real way to find some talent and really make things better for this franchise long term. And I don't think there's any negative, when you look at adding this and trying to change the mindset of finding younger talent. Lou Dort was another name that was mentioned in the chat who went undrafted and had an immense amount of success. So now you're kind of in the game to try to find those guys and have a spot for them to learn.
You don't find guys in the G League or you won't find undrafted guys that have zero heart that will be a part of your franchise. Yeah. Like everybody that comes from the G League or has to fight to survive, to get a spot, they're doing it because they got that dog in them. Like there's plenty of guys. Lou Dort's obviously
they're not doing it for the money.
Yeah, Lou Dort's one of them. I remember, what's his name from Pinnacle? Nico Mannion. When he came out, and I was just like, I don't think that's a good call, man, because, dude, if you don't make the roster, getting drafted 48th overall or 44th overall, like you're going to the G League. And if you go to the G League, I just didn't believe that he had the game to make it out. He made it out for a few games, and now he's not even – I don't even think he's in the G League anymore. He was playing for Milwaukee for a little bit, and now he's part of Team Italy. But so it's like you got to be careful. You got to know what you're doing. These guys, that you're researching, you can't be researching off a name and talent or reputation. It's got to be legit things that you see, that you identify, that you know can contribute to your team.
Real quick, there's a guy, Coleman Hawkins, fighting a Illini. I watched him in the combine. I love this kid. He's probably going to go undrafted. He's going to be one of these kids that's probably going to go undrafted. And I'd be fascinated if the Suns use this G League opportunity to get an undrafted guy like that. The guy is big. He can play the 3, the 4, the 5. He's got point guard-like skills. Unique traits that if you just throw him into that system and work with them, you can find something. So that's the stuff I want to see the Suns do more of.
Yeah, well, I know when they get that roster, they're going to be in the PHNX Suns inner circle, even though they're members of the Valley Suns. And if you want to be in an inner circle, Circle K has got you covered. It is the best program that you can be a part of. And it's easy. You download the Circle K app, you sign up, you're in. What's going to happen? You're going to save 25 cents per gallon off your first 5 fill-ups. After that, you're going to save 3 cents. And then you get to the ESPO level and you save 5 cents per gallon. But that's not all. Right now, for anybody, you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for 79 cents, right? But if you're in the inner circle, it's 69 cents.
Nice.
And that's nice, as Gerald said. So make sure to sign up. It's just that easy. You are going to love it. I promise you. And they have all sorts of deals that come up in the app. Just because you're an inner circle member, you can save on pizza, snacks, all sorts of stuff that you need for your road trips this summer. They got you taken care of. So, and you can find all the offers by going into the app and looking at Inner Circle and then the offers tab. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. You know what you can pick up at Circle K?
What?
A nice ice cold beer. And after the last ad read, I could really use one from that last ad break. And Four Peaks has got you covered. They are the best local brew that you can find. And they've got a brand new beer that you can try, the Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale. I've had it on a golf course. I've had it at the 8th Street Pub. It is delicious. You're going to enjoy it. It's the perfect kind of beer for the summer that we're about to experience here in Phoenix. But you know what? After a long day out on the golf course, playing 18 holes in 100-degree heat, you need something to eat. And the 8th Street Pub has got you covered for Four Peaks. They've got unbelievable pizzas. They got chicken tendies that everybody raves about around here. They've got something on that menu for everybody that you know and for yourself also. So follow them on social at Four Peaks Brew and Four Peaks Pub to get the latest on Arizona's premier craft brewery, and visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. And must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. Gentlemen, there's a giant comeback that's about to happen, and I'm not talking about the G League this time.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA on NBC is about to return, and for 3 of us on on this panel, it's super exciting. For Gerald, he goes, "I've heard about the lore of that back in the day."
I know the music. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so NBA on NBC is basically officially coming back. The NBA has agreed to new deals with ESPN, Amazon, and NBC, it appears, which unfortunately means that this is going to be upcoming the final season for NBA on TNT, and the Inside the NBA guys. 24-25 will be the last year. Initial thoughts on the big news today?
I'm excited that the NBA on NBC is coming back, just because of, obviously the nostalgia of that. I hope they don't change it up too much. I want the intros back.
Yeah.
I think we all want the intros back.
The whole fucking thing.
They do these things on ABC and ESPN where they basically they do this cold open and the announcer's talking into it to try and get you hyped up for the game, but that doesn't do it justice. You need to record these things and have some highlights and get a real, sense of the importance of said matchup, even if it's just the third game of the regular season. I don't care. That's what the NBA on NBC used to do. So I'm excited for that. On the other hand, I know a lot of people are like, well, they don't talk enough basketball and blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, there's so many places to hear about basketball The thing about the NBA on TNT is that these guys are fun. They played the game, so if they say something, it's a little bit, sometimes it's a little crazy, but I enjoy it because it makes me feel like I'm in the garage watching with them, which is something I kind of said about what we should be.
I'm excited about the NBC. That's what we grew up on, but kind of grew up on TNT too, man. Like, so it's a little bittersweet for me. I don't think they're the best at basketball and bringing basketball knowledge and filling up that cup. But I will say that, on the East Coast, 1 a.m, watching NBA, inside the NBA, it felt like a little bit of a spot where I can kind of decompress and just laugh a little bit and enjoy a little basketball and get some laughter. So I can't lie, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss that part of it. But I agree, it's gotten to a point where if you're going there for basketball, you're not getting much anymore.
It's sad because it's like it's a comfort. Like it is high quality basketball entertainment. Like they are the best at what they do in terms of, like you said, after a late night game, like just chilling with people that are just going to shoot the shit and make jokes. Yeah. And it's a good way to close the night off. With that being said, the fact that this is like the premier basketball show that you can get on television is really depressing because they don't talk about basketball like at all. Like I love Chuck, I love Kenny, I love Ernie, but like at the end of the day, they veered away from actual basketball type stuff a long time ago. And not every show has to be diving into X's and O's and all this analytical stuff. It should still be entertaining, but there's a way to bridge those two. And I feel like the NFL is much closer with its halftime content, pregame, postgame stuff than the NBA is on multiple channels, not just TNT. It's on ESPN, ABC, all these different ones. Half the time you're watching a pregame show and it's just Stephen A. Smith yelling about the Knicks or about LeBron or something stupid. Like, actually give your viewers information and educate them on the game. You can do that in a fun way without it feeling like you're being barraged with numbers or stats or all this stuff. So I am eager to see how NBC approaches it. I am eager to see if there are any offshoots. I have always loved Inside the NBA because it's entertaining, because it's funny, because these are people that we've grown up watching on TV, just making jokes, and you feel like you're part of the group with them. But at the end of the day, like, this show has become something that feels more like an alternative viewing broadcast than an actual, like, oh, this is the defined broadcast or halftime or post-game content.
Gerald's really going to hate my idea for next year's postgame where we drop ping pong balls on him every time he says a certain
You
thing.
can have fun with it. You can, but there's got to be some type of value beyond just here are 4 people that you like that are doing stupid shit. Like, because you can do that and make it its own show that has nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah.
No, I get you. And I do agree to a certain point that they used to be a little bit more 50-50 split, or maybe even skewed a little bit more towards the basketball talk side of things. Mm-hmm. But, they still, like Kenny going to the board and breaking down a certain play as to why that happens, right? Like I like that a lot because
that's bad, though.
I get you. But when he was doing it at a high level, it was good TV because he taught you a little bit about the game, especially for those people. Listen, one of the things about what TNT does is they don't cater to the nth degree people. They try to make it broad. When grandma has not watched the game all season and she tunes in, they're trying to entertain her as well as educate, right? And so there's a certain fundamental baseline that they're going to try and keep, and they don't want to go too extreme or too low. Now, ESPN as well, like I completely agree. I feel like ESPN is all just talk. Yeah. It's all talk. They never really show examples of why something worked or not. They just said, oh, he didn't box out and this is what happened. Okay, well, what led up to that? Why don't we break down this play or whatever, right? They have all these things at their disposal. And it's crazy because we talk about this every day. How can we get better? What else can we give the audience? What else can we do to break down this, that, or the other? And we're still trying to unfold that process so that way we can perfect it. They have millions of dollars worth of tools and people and resources, and they just roll it out there. And that's the thing that frustrates me because it becomes more clickbait talk than it does actual NBA breaking down as to why something's not working and why a player should be moved or whatever. It's just like, oh, well, Kevin Durant doesn't feel like he wants to be there. He doesn't feel like he wants to be in the Valley or blah, blah, blah. Like, miss me with that shit.
Well, I think ESPN is in part why some people have turned so hard on Inside the NBA, because the smart thing that ESPN could have done was be that alternative, give you the heavy basketball X's and O's instead of giving me the Walmart version of what TNT's trying to do. So then you would have had a balance where I can watch that show and I'm getting hardcore basketball. I know what TNT is, but now it feels like everybody had to try to replicate what Inside the NBA was and do it to a lesser extent. And I hope what we get out of Amazon and NBC and whatever ESPN has to do in their next iteration is a nice balance of all that and finding a way to appeal to all levels of basketball fans.
The crazy thing, real quick, sorry. The crazy thing about that is you're spot on, because you saw today on Twitter Tim Legler talking about the Indiana Pacers and how ESPN execs were like, yeah, we're not talking about Indiana because there's nothing sexy about them. Well, damn, Indiana's in the Eastern Conference Finals and damn near beat Boston on the road in game 1 if they would have just fouled up by 3, right? So, like, and I'm sorry, I've kept an eye on the Pacers since about maybe the 20th game mark because they came out of the gates hot and they had one of the funner offenses in the league. What's not fun about them? Like, I don't get that. And so the fact that ESPN execs would say that, that's the part where I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. And now that kind of is validation for a lot of us Suns fans because we get roasted because we have a bad game on national TV, but they ignore the other 25 games maybe that we played that was good, not until this year, before this year. And I see it. I understand it. And that's disrespectful because people are not doing their homework in this league. I'm sorry, man. You get paid millions of dollars to cover one sport and do one damn thing, and all you can do is people are saying about Kevin Durant. Man, fuck you.
Well, we've heard what they say, but why don't we hear what Charles Barkley has to say about the situation?
I really feel bad, man, because, we're probably going to lose 200 people going to lose their job at Turner. If we lose to NBA.
If it is over, would you guys be open to, carrying the show on a different network?
Well, I don't think Ernie would leave. Well, B, I don't want to give you any lie to you. First of all, I know Ernie would not go anywhere else. Ernie's almost 70 years old. I think he's going to retire sooner than later. I don't think he would go to another network. And I don't know what's going to happen with Amazon, ESPN, or if we lose it to NBC. So I'm not sure how to answer that question, honestly. I just don't know. Ernie would not go to another network. I'm damn sure about that. But I would listen. I would listen before I made any decisions.
Flex, I think Chuck brings up an interesting point that we all want to talk about the show, but it's 200 people's jobs.
Yes.
It's all sorts of other sides to it too.
Yeah, that's sad to hear. I'm sure some of these guys are gonna land on their feet. I believe him when he says I think Ernie might just be like, nah. I grew up watching Ernie. I love Ernie, man. So it is sad. That's the sad part of it.
He's a pro.
Yeah, he's a pro. He's the best in the business. So I wonder sometimes that when we see all these networks and we see how they're going about things, I wonder if simplicity is the answer, man. Like. I just remember, I remember TNT before Shaq got there, and it felt different. And when Shaq got there, and this ain't a shot at Shaq, I love Shaq, but it feels like they kind of lost their way a little bit. I grew up watching the show. Maybe y'all can remind me. It was on CNN
with Fred Hickman.
Fred Hickman, like
NBA,
that was
NBA Tonight.
NBA
right?
Tonight.
No,
that was ESPN.
That was with Jackson. That was with Jack.
Who was?
But it was Hickman.
Fred Hickman on CNN.
That was like church for me. As like you got basketball, you got a good perspective. They kept it on, on the road and just got to their points. I think sometimes now people are just trying to do too much with this stuff, and I would like simplicity. Talk about the basketball game, get into some of the X's and O's without going over your head, but. There's just too much clown stuff going on. It's just too much for me at this point.
That's where the host does come in, and Ernie did his best to try and keep everybody on point, which is it's sometimes it's like Gerald trying to keep us all honest.
I got to tell you, sitting in the host seat trying to keep everybody on task is difficult.
Lindsay's job is not easy when she's trying to handle this clown show. So, I totally get it.
Yeah. You brought up the intros. John Tesh has confirmed, he was on the Dan Lebertard show yesterday, that he in fact has heard from NBC. He said it's nothing firm, but they said, hey, can you stay frosty on this, like a Navy SEALs thing, because we'd love to talk to you about this. Apparently they're discussing using his music for Round Ball Rock for the Olympics, and then for NBA on NBC. They have an entire, he said, quote, at the end of June, we're heading to Nashville and we got a full orchestra on hold. We're going to re-record it. I think it still sounds great, but I wanted to make a few changes. So we're going to get a slightly updated Round Ball Rock. It's going to be great for that. And I wish I had a ticket to watch that.
But it's not just about the music, people. Like, again, the storylines.
Yes, I love
the storylines and the editing of the video going into it. I mean, you get goosebumps just thinking about it, man. Like that man, that was so beautiful, man. Like every time you heard and then you just knew, like, oh, we're about to get into it. Let's go.
Go to YouTube and pull up the 93 NBA Finals, Bulls Suns Game 1.
Oh yeah.
And watch that intro. That intro with Charles and Mike and man, I get goosebumps.
I went and watched the top 50 of them the other night. I was bored.
Did you really?
Was thinking about this, so that's the nerd. But I really wish I had a ticket to John Tesh redoing this, and if I did, I could take that ticket stub to Illegal Pete's and get a great deal with it. They've got their sound check deal, and it is fantastic right now. If you bring any ticket stub in from any ticketed event, they're going to give you a beer or a margarita for 1 penny. Right. Damn. And they've already got unbelievable Mexican food. Their drinks are some of the best in the Valley, but now I can get it for 1 penny. And you know what? I'm cheap and I like a good deal. And this definitely qualifies as both of those. And patio season is coming to an end. I think we got like one more good week in us where you can go out there to their Tempe location and enjoy a nice patio beer. It is fantastic. And you know what, though? I talked about the food, and that's really the star. If you're going to talk about Illegal Pete's, their bowls, tacos, salads, burritos, nachos, all fantastic. I love those. Their quesadillas, Saul always gives me shit. I always order a quesadilla at restaurants, and I love them there as well. And they got the full bar, but don't forget the piping hot queso as well. So yeah, bring in that ticket sub with their legendary sound check deal, and you're going to get a draft beer or house margarita for 1 penny. Illegal Pete's wants to celebrate with you, whether it's pregame or postgame. They got you covered. All your game day needs are what they got there. Must purchase an adult entree to redeem Illegal Pete's soundcheck deal. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers. And you know what I like to do after having a nice meal? I like to take a nice OGs and relax, right? And the family is leaving town in 2 weeks, and I think I might have a little chill time with some OGs while they're gone. They have some of the best products in the business. They are made right here in Arizona, and they've launched 2 new products made with live rosin and RSO, the OG's Natural and the Big OGs. The OG's Natural is a vegan gummy, so if you're vegan, they got you covered, and it comes in an amazing sweet clementine flavor. They also have the Big OGs. It is a giant gummy, 100 milligrams of THC in the raspberry RSO flavor. It's one of the company's most popular, and it's perforated into those 10 milligram slices, so you'll enjoy it. To learn more about OG's gummies, head to ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or over to enjoy, and please enjoy responsibly. Let's wrap this one up, guys. Western Conference Finals, Game 1 tonight. You've got the Mavs, you've got the Timberwolves. Who you got in that game tonight? Who are you looking for tonight in the game and in the series overall?
I've been doubting the Timberwolves this whole time, and I've been wrong this whole time. So I'm going to continue to doubt the Timberwolves some more because I think it's Luka's time. I think Luka's going to do it. I think Luka and Kyrie are going to take them to the finals. So I think they're going to win tonight in Game 1, kind of set the tone. They'll probably lose in Game 2. I think I got the Mavs in 6.
Ooh. I got Minnesota in 6, but I tell you what, I really think if Minnesota gets these first 2 in Minnesota, this could be done in 5. That defense is just really impressive. They're deep. They're locked in. The momentum's all on their side. And I think playing Denver, the Joker and Jamal Murray matchup is going to help them with the Luka and Kyrie matchup to an extent. So I like Minnesota in 6, but if they get these first 2, watch out, G.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Luka does because he's been playing kind of banged up. His production's been up and down recently, and this is the worst possible defense that you want to be going up against if you're not 100%.
Yeah.
Hopefully he is 100% at this point because we're going to get a really good series if he is. But I'm fascinated to see how the Wolves defend him with Jaden McDaniels and all the different guys that they can throw at him. Same deal with Kyrie and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and the different options they have there. Kyrie's been playing great on both ends too. Defensively, he's been doing whatever they ask of him. So I've got Timberwolves tonight. I've got Wolves in 6, but this is one of those series where neither team winning it would surprise me because they both are deep teams that are getting contributions from a lot of role players. They've got the star power on either end. Like it's going to be a fun one.
It'll be fun.
Look, I got the Mavs tonight. I got the Mavs in game 2. I got the Mavs in game 3. And I got the Mavs in game 4. Everything is bigger in Dallas, and the Mavericks are the biggest thing in the NBA right now. Luka is going to win this series by himself, but Kyrie is just as good. I believe the earth is flat. That's how much I believe in this Dallas Mavericks team. I've done my own research, and I know that this team's going to win. And now you got the jinx stinks on you, boys. Good luck.
Yeah, it doesn't work if you try to do it.
Well, it worked last time, so
I'm with you, Espo.
That's it. Let's wrap this one up. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. You can follow Flex at Flex from Jersey. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. And you can follow me at Espo. And remember, just because you're named after somebody doesn't mean you're anything less than what you really are. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.